honestly, YouTube boxing these days is arguably one of the biggest jokes and one of the biggest disgraces to its actual sport that there is in the entire world. Like, boxing itself used to be, at least like in the public's eye, because to me it still is, because I very much grew up like, you know, watching boxing, and, you know, especially because I used to play sport. You know, boxing is very good, even if you're not a boxer yourself. It's very good to train for fitness and just for good self-defense as well. You know me, I was a very scrawny kid growing up, so my dad put me into boxing to help me with self-defense and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so I used to grow up watching boxing. I respected boxers so much. I would arguably say that boxing is the #1 most difficult sport in the world. Like, and you can come and argue against me. It's one of the only like real points that I will go against you and completely argue if you disagree with me. Because usually if someone disagrees with me, I really don't care. But when it comes to boxing being the hardest sport in the world, there's no way that you can say it's not. Maybe, oh wait, I think the only one actually that, let me retract that. The only one actually that you could say is maybe MMA, because combat sports in general just really, but you know, we're just mainly talking about boxing. But combat sports in general, you know, especially boxing and MMA would have to be like the 1 or 2 hardest sports in the world, hands fucking down. And I have so much respect for the people who put themselves into that ring, and the professionals, the real professionals who train their entire fucking lives, from the moment that they're fucking this tall into their 20s to become a professional boxer and a champion at their sport. And then you have people in the YouTube boxing scene who are just making an absolute joke out of the fucking sport. Like, YouTube boxing to me was fine in the start. It was good. It was in a good spot because it was just a whole bunch of YouTubers that would just get together, make a little event, and just box out. Whether they had some beef or whether they were just like, hey, let's get in the ring and just have a fight. Usually it was because they were fucking some, I don't know, stupid YouTube beef. And to me, majority of the time, when YouTubers have beef, it's over something extremely fucking dumb. Like, you cannot tell me that, you know, majority, maybe there is like some YouTube beef here and there where it's just like, oh, this is legitimate. Like, this guy, fuck this guy's girlfriend. That's fair enough beef. But majority of the time, it's just bullshit. That's all it is. That's all they beef over, is just absolute fucking nonsense. And then, but that was fine. It was absolutely fine. Back in the day, you know, they'd run these small events and would just be YouTubers versus YouTubers, and they'd run it on YouTube or they'd run it on this, and you could just sit there, watch it for free, and you know, they'd get some sponsors and all that shit, and it was good to fucking watch because you knew it wasn't serious. You knew it wasn't serious, and you knew it was a bit of a joke, because that's really what it should be. And then I feel like in the last few years, and Jake Paul is at the fucking center of all this, of the reason why it's gotten so big, and then fucking KSI is mainly, and Jake Paul's brother Logan are just riding the fucking train of the popularity that YouTube boxing has become. And it's kind of making a joke out of the sport, because all these guys, they have like the biggest fucking egos in the world, that thinking that they're like these world-class boxers after, you know, they only train for just a couple years. And you may say, Donnie, a couple years, that's a long fucking time. In boxing, it's really fucking not. It's not at all. I don't think people understand. And if you've not even boxed yourself, if you've never even gotten in the ring, not just to like have an actual fight, but even just to spar with someone, or even just to train in boxing as well. So if you've trained in boxing, you know, you realize how difficult the sport is itself. And then all these fuckers come around and think that they are like world-class champions and think that they can beat anyone in the world, and that they want to go up against professional boxers, and they start calling out people, like I said, who have been training their entire lives, who came from literally nothing, and all they had was boxing, and they trained themselves up to be a professional boxer and became world-class champions in their sport, made a name for themselves. And then you just get fuckers who are just, you know, with big egos and making content on YouTube, which is fair enough. It's fine to make content, but then, you know, then they go ahead and thinking that they're world-class boxers and making a joke out of the entire sport. You know, and obviously the reason why I'm talking about this is obviously from the last event over this weekend, from the Dylan Dennis versus Logan Paul fight and the KSI versus Tommy Fury fight. Now, both of them, to me, were just a bit of a joke and not very good fights to watch. Particularly the Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis fight was even fucking worse. Like, to me, that was more of a joke than the KSI Tommy Fury fight was. Now, the Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis fight, at least Logan Paul, you could tell that he was really trying to, like, actually, you know, he was trying to box. He was really trying to go about it. I didn't watch the whole entire fights themselves because I wasn't gonna, you know, I wasn't gonna wake up that early because I'm here in Australia and it was over in Manchester, so the hours are a bit shit. But I did watch the highlights of each fight as well. You know, and you could say, "Oh, you didn't watch the entire fight. You know what the fuck? You don't need to watch the entire fight. Trust me. Trust me. You don't need to actually watch the fight. All you need to do is just watch the highlights of each fight to realize how shit those fights were." And the Dylan Dennis fight and Logan Paul fight was just terrible. You could tell that Dylan Dennis didn't know what the fuck he was doing. Yeah, this man trained in jiu-jitsu, and like I made a video a while back and like laughing about how like he was clowning Logan Paul's fiance, and I thought it was I was like, bro, this guy's just being a jokester, you know, it is what it is, it's kind of blah blah blah. And I wasn't really siding with Dylan Dennis, but I was kind of like not being mad at him. I was just like, this is kind of funny, whatever. But now I'm just like, you're actually just a loser. Like, and I don't know if you guys seen it, but he's still going on Twitter. Like, bro, you got your ass beat. Apparently, he didn't even train in boxing either. How? And then he's making that as an excuse. He was like, "Oh, I'm a jiu-jitsu fighter, a world-class jiu-jitsu fighter. I didn't train. Who didn't have a proper boxing camp, and you know, so I'm proud of it." How, when you've had months and months and months, if not years, to prepare? Because Dylan Dennis has been around, you know, in this YouTube boxing scene for a while. Maybe he was supposed to fight KSI initially last year, but then he pulled out because he's a bitch. And then he has all this time to put together a proper boxing camp where he can actually try and learn. Because if you already have a bit of knowledge in combat sports, it's obviously, you know, going from jiu-jitsu to boxing, it's completely two different combat sports. So I'm not saying it's easier, but it's definitely easier from someone who's going from nothing to them boxing. So you already have some experience in combat sports. And the fact that you didn't even try to put in effort for this, you're just showing how much of a joke this event and YouTube boxing is in general. Like, at least Logan Paul, you could tell that he put in some time. He put in time to like train and to like actually try and polish his boxing skills for whatever kind of boxing skills that he has. So, you know, but then there's Dylan Dennis, and then he tried to get Logan into a guillotine at the end. Like, what's the point of that? What? So after the bell goes is when you want to start the fight? You got your ass kicked for 6 rounds, and then once the fight finishes is when you want to actually go. Like, are you for real, bro? And then we have the KSI and Tommy. Now, I'm not gonna like try and, you know, come here and defend who won the fight or whatever, because, you know, the scores are what they are, you know. And obviously, I love one thing that I love very much, and that this is one of the reasons why I'm not going to come on here and go, "Oh, this is why this person should have won, and this is why this person." The people who are judging these fights are professional judges. These guys know boxing. They know what the fuck they're talking about. All these people that are on Twitter don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You just watch. You're just an amateur. That's all you are, and so am I. So you know what? If I had to sit here and think, like, oh man, I think KSI actually won that fight. I don't know what the fuck I'm really talking about. I really don't. Because I'm not a professional boxing judge, and I don't know the ins and outs and the details of the sport. And that fight as well was just, it was literally a hugging session. Every single time that Tommy Fury threw a punch at KSI, and every single time that he would dodge it, he just clinched him. Which is what, like, that hugging is, where if you don't know. So whenever in boxing, it's not called a hug, it's called a clinch. That's the wording of it in boxing terms is it's called clinching. So whenever like someone, you know, you go in and you basically hug, and then the referee has to separate you, it's called a clinch. And that's all the fight was. It was just KSI clinching Tommy Fury. Like, bro, if you're gonna duck some punches, at least throw one back. At least throw a counter punch. It's like Vidal. And I watched a couple of Vidal, who is KSI's trainer. I was watching some of his highlights just to get a little bit more of a grasp of, like, you know, where KSI's kind of, you know, fighting technique is coming from. And Vidal's a good fucking fighter. He's an actual professional fighter. A real proper professional fighter. Someone who should actually be in the spotlight. Someone who actually deserves our attention. Vidal Riley, who's KSI's fighter, who's KSI's trainer, sorry, actually deserves our attention. Not KSI. No, his trainer, someone who is an actual professional fighter, deserves more attention than KSI himself when it comes to the scene of boxing. When it comes to the scene of YouTube, fair enough. The Sidemen, I fucking love the Sidemen. I love their videos. Their videos are fucking hilarious. KSI's videos, you know, I've watched him, you know, more recently than in the past. And you know what? Sometimes I think he's a relatively funny guy, and I think they make good content. Logan Paul, that's just a whole fucking different story when it comes to his content, but that's not here nor there. And like, one thing I hate about all this YouTube boxing and how it's really gone too far is that it's taking the spotlight away from people, like I said, when it comes to Vidal, who actually deserve the fucking spotlight. Fighters who really deserve the spotlight. Fighters who have been training their whole entire fucking lives from day fucking one, done nothing else but box and fought and gotten a proper professional record, and actual good fighters who really know how to throw and take and dodge a punch. Those are the people who deserve the real spotlight, because you know what, I'm fine with YouTube boxing staying in its YouTube boxing circle, but the fact that I see SportsCenter and ESPN reporting and posting about this shit is fucking stupid. It's ridiculous. There are, like I said, there are so many people, and I looked online, and like I said, I myself, I'm not really into the boxing scene. Like, maybe when I was younger, I used to pay attention to it a bit more, and I know more about, like, you know, famous boxers from the 90s, which is quite, like I said, is quite unfortunate that I know more boxers from the past than I do in the modern day era, because no one fucking talks about it anymore, because YouTube boxers have kind of made a joke about the sport. And I'm gonna like put out some names that actually deserve the spotlight instead of these fucking jokes. Like I said, YouTube boxing has just gone too far, and I think it should stay as YouTube boxing, and it should really go away from the mainstream spotlight. And I really hope it does. I think it might eventually, not anytime soon, because with names like that, you know, with the popularity of Jake Paul and KSI and Logan Paul, and I think Anderson Gibb is pretty, like, I'm not sure if he's not really mainstream, like, well known, but in the YouTube boxing scene, he's pretty popular, because, like, I'm pretty sure, I don't think he's lost many fights. I don't know if he's lost at all, actually, but, like, yeah, those, like, three, and you can add Anderson Gibb in there as well, would have to be, like, pretty big names in the boxing scene. So unfortunately, I don't see it going away from the main spotlight, especially because everyone wants KSI and Jake Paul to fucking fight, and we all know we're going to get that. Yeah, fucking, I don't know when, but eventually. But yeah, I really hope that this spotlight just dies off. Here are some boxers that actually deserve the spotlight. I found this on the sporting.blog. So I'm hoping that this list is actually good. But these are some boxers who are 10 up-and-coming boxers you should look forward to in the future. Also, you probably would know, like, one of the names. So, Daniel Dynamite Dubos, I think. I'm not, I may have butchered that name. Dude's only 23 years old, 19-1 with 18 KOs. Jamie Munguia, Munguia. His record is 41-0 with 33 KOs, bro. That is ridiculous. That is insane. Virgil Ortiz Jr., 22 years of age, American Mexican, 19-0 every single one, at least from the time that I'm reading this on this blog. So it probably would have been updated, but I'm just gathering these names from this blog. So yeah, the records could be different from this point in time, but he's 19-0 with all of his, at least at this point in time, all 19 wins were from KOs. That's insane. Jaron Boots Enos, 29-0, 27 KOs. Apparently, there's one no contest. I'm not 100% sure why. Teofimo Lopez Jr., 18-1, 13 KOs. He's an IBF, WBO, WBA, and the Ring lightweight champion. We all know Ryan Garcia. We all know him. You know what? He's a bit of a clown, but at the same time, he is a relatively good boxer. From this post, he was 23-0 with 19 KOs. He did lose to Tank Davis, who I will get to in a second. Devin the Dream Haney, 29-0, 15 KOs. He's the WBC lightweight champion. David Benavidez, I think that's how you pronounce it. 26-0, 23 KOs. Shakur Stevenson, 19-0, 9 KOs, the WBO featherweight champion. And to me, what is probably like the best boxer at this point in time, like right now in any weight division, Gervonta Tank Davis. I would say Tyson Fury. Tommy Fury's older half brother, but I think he's like semi-retired. But Gervonta Tank Davis, this man, if you want to watch proper boxing, if you really want to watch proper boxing, go and search up Gervonta Davis's highlights. That is boxing. That is boxing, not the shit that we watched over the weekend. Gervonta Tank Davis, search out that man's highlights. I'm telling you, you've definitely heard his name. You've definitely seen him online. He's the one who does get a lot of attention, and he fucking deserves it. Those are just some other names besides Ryan Garcia, because he does get a lot of attention. As much as I see him as he's a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a clown, but he is very young, and he is actually a really good boxer. But Gervonta Tank Davis is just a fucking beast. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about this whole YouTube boxing in general. And if you disagree with me, that's absolutely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If you actually think that YouTube boxing is good, I mean, good for you. I personally don't. Yeah, but if you, yeah, it's, to me, it's just an entire joke. And like I said, I think it was fine when it was just YouTube boxing, just like, you know, on YouTube, and that was it. And it was just content creators. But now the fact that it's going into mainstream and like kind of making a joke out of boxing as a sport is sad to me. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. That's it from me. Peace out.